Welcome, chosen ones. Pay close attention. There is a reason why panic has begun to settle in the eyes of your adversaries. There is a reason why their old tricks no longer work and their carefully crafted words now fall to the ground, powerless. It's not that you've become stronger in the conventional sense. No, it's something much deeper, something fundamentally irreversible. For so long, you navigated a fog, a confusing haze, where their words never matched their actions, and you were left constantly questioning your own sanity. You walked on eggshells, replaying conversations in your mind, trying to find the flaw in your own logic, because their confidence was so absolute. You thought the problem was your perception. But the truth is, your perception was simply being blocked, intentionally shrouded by their spiritual static. Now God, in His infinite wisdom and perfect timing, has performed a spiritual surgery on you. He has removed the cataracts from your soul and has granted you a gift that terrifies the darkness more than any army: soul sight, true, undiluted discernment. Before, you saw their actions, but now you see their motives. You saw their face, but now you behold their true, hungry, and terrified spirit. And that is why they are running. They are not fleeing from your anger. They are fleeing from your clarity. They run because the game can only continue as long as the other player is blindfolded. But you, chosen one, now not only see the board, you see through it. You see the hand of the player, the cards they hide, and the desperation in their heart. This is what God has shown you. Before, their arrogance was a weapon that worked flawlessly. It used to intimidate you, to shrink you down until you felt insignificant. It was a suffocating energy that demanded you make yourself smaller to make room for their oversized persona. Their booming confidence, their condescending smirks, their ability to speak with absolute certainty on any topic. It was a performance designed to cement their authority and your submission. And you bought the act. You mistook their volume for validity, their pride for power. You handed them your power because you believed their self-proclaimed superiority was real. But the mask has been ripped off. That moment of revelation may have been subtle, a flicker of fear in their eyes when genuinely challenged, a crack in their voice when they couldn't control the narrative. But in that instant, God showed you everything. Now, with your new soul sight, you no longer see arrogance. You see a fragile, paper-thin shield. When they puff out their chest, you see them trying to protect a deeply wounded heart. When they raise their voice, you hear the terrified scream of an inner child who is petrified of being exposed as a fraud. You see that their entire identity is built on a foundation of external validation. Without admiration, without fear, without control over others, they cease to exist in their own minds. It's as if God gave you spiritual X-ray glasses, and behind the imposing armor of their ego, you see a trembling, hollow skeleton. This is why they run. Your calm presence no longer feeds their ego. An ego starved of the attention it needs to survive begins to collapse, and they cannot stand to be around anyone who witnesses their slow-motion implosion. This is one of the most painful yet liberating revelations. Before, their intermittent kindness was your prison. It was the love-bombing phase of the cycle designed to confuse you and keep you addicted. A sudden gift after a week of silent treatment, a flood of compliments after a fit of rage. These acts made you lower your guard and fed you just enough hope to stay. You would ask yourself, how can someone so cruel also be so kind? This confusion was the cage. You clung to those moments of goodness as proof that the person you loved was still in there somewhere. But now, with the vision God has given you, you see the transaction behind every gesture. The mask of generosity has dissolved, and in its place you see cold, hard calculation. It's as if you can now see the invisible energetic threads they attach to every favor, threads they fully intend to pull on later to control you, to guilt you, to demand something from you. Their generosity is a carefully constructed cage, and now you not only see the bars, you feel them. A gift no longer feels like a gift. It feels like a down payment on your future compliance. A compliment feels like data mining. This site has made you immune to their currency. They keep offering the same bait, expecting you to bite out of desperation or hope, but you no longer do. You see the hook for what it is. They are running because their primary tool for reeling you back in has become utterly useless. It's like a puppeteer whose strings have all been cut, leaving them standing on stage with a lifeless puppet exposed for all to see. I love you. I care about you. You're my everything. Before you were addicted to these words, you would endure deserts of neglect and abuse just for a single drop of this verbal rain. These phrases were the anesthetic that numbed the pain of their actions, allowing you to stay in a situation your soul knew was wrong. You believe their words because you project your own capacity for sincere love onto them, assuming they felt what they said. But soul sight transcends hearing. Now, when they speak those words, you feel a chilling spiritual void. You hear the sound, but you feel no corresponding frequency of love. It's like watching a flawless actor cry on cue. The performance is technically perfect, but you know it's not real. Their declarations of love are like beautiful, wax fruit in a bowl. They look perfect from a distance, but when you get close, you realize there is no life, no nourishment, no substance within them. You now understand the terrifying truth. They don't love you. They love what you provide. They love being loved by you. They love the reflection of themselves they see in your adoring eyes. They love your energy, your light, your stability, all the things they lack. It is a love of consumption. They are running because you are no longer a mirror reflecting their false image of a loving person back at them. You have become a clear window, showing their own emptiness, and that is a sight they cannot endure. They called it humor, but it was always a weapon. Those little passive-aggressive barbs, those backhanded compliments, those teases that were always at your expense. If you ever reacted, you were immediately labeled as too sensitive or unable to take a joke. This was their genius. They could assassinate your character in public while maintaining perfect, plausible deniability. They were masters of gaslighting, making you the problem for reacting to the abuse they were dishing out. But now, your spirit has become fireproof. The Holy Spirit has given you such sharp discernment that when they throw one of those verbal darts, you see it in slow motion. You see the envy that powers it, the jealousy that aims it, and the deep-seated insecurity that fires it. You no longer hear the punchline. You feel the poison. Your calm in the face of these attacks is what drives them mad. They are looking for a reaction. Tears, anger, defensiveness, to validate their narrative that you are the unstable one. But you give them nothing. You give them a calm, knowing silence. A look that says, "That was weak, and I see exactly what you're trying to do." An unbothered spirit is to a verbal abuser what sunlight is to a vampire. They are running because their favorite covert weapon now clatters uselessly at your feet, and its failure exposes their malicious heart. Their rage was a carefully orchestrated performance of intimidation. The sudden shift in tone, the cold fury in their eyes, the threat of violence in their posture, it was all designed to trigger your deepest survival fears and force you into immediate submission. You were trained to believe their anger was a sign of your failure in their righteous power. You would do anything to de-escalate it, usually by taking the blame and abandoning your own needs. But now, when the storm of their rage begins, you are no longer in the boat, being tossed by the waves. You are on the shore, watching. Your soul sight allows you to see the eye of the hurricane, and in its center, you find not power, but abject terror. You see that their anger is a panic reaction to a perceived loss of control. It's the desperate roar of a king who fears his throne is being taken. You have moved from being a terrified actor in their chaotic drama to a calm spectator in the audience. You see the tantrum. You understand the script, but you no longer feel compelled to go on stage. You simply watch, detached, knowing that their emotional storm has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the demons of fear and inadequacy they battle within. They are running from your calm because it offers them no fuel. Your peace is a mirror that shows them the true monster, their own fear, and that is the one enemy they cannot shout into submission. The silent treatment was their most insidious form of psychological warfare. By withdrawing all communication, they would create a vacuum that your mind would rush to fill with self-blame and anxiety. What did I do wrong? How can I fix this? The goal of their silence was to make their absence the loudest thing in your life, to make you obsess over them, to elevate them to the status of a god whose favor you must desperately seek. And it worked. You would chase, apologize, and bargain just to end the torment of being ignored. But your new sight has illuminated this darkness. You now recognize their silence not as a sign of legitimate hurt, but as a deliberate, calculated move on a chessboard. You know they are not off healing. They are in their watchtower, peering down, waiting for you to crumble. And this knowledge has set you free. Now, when they go silent, you do not feel anxiety. You feel relief. You feel peace. You use that time as a gift to reconnect with yourself and with God. Your own peace is now louder than their absence. Your own inner world is far more compelling than their manufactured drama. They are running because when they finally return from their silent campaign, expecting to find you broken and begging, they find you thriving, centered, and indifferent to their return. You have neutralized their most powerful weapon by finding your joy without them. This is the final level of sight, the one that moves beyond human psychology and into the spiritual reality of the battle. Before, you tried to fix a spiritual problem with psychological tools. You labeled them a narcissist or codependent. You analyzed their childhood trauma. You tried to understand their attachment style. You treated a demonic infestation as a behavioral issue. But now God has given you the gift of discerning of spirits. You see that you are often not fighting against flesh and blood, but against the ancient controlling entities that operate through them. You recognize the slick, prideful, word-twisting energy of the Leviathan spirit, which makes you feel confused and crazy. You recognize the seductive, manipulative, character-assassinating agenda of the Jezebel spirit, which uses flattery and intimidation to gain control and extinguish the prophetic voice in others. Seeing this, you stop taking the attacks personally. You realize the person is a host, a puppet, whose strings are being pulled by a force that despises the anointing on your life. This gives you a holy detachment. You stop trying to argue with the puppet, and you start addressing the puppeteer in the spirit, armed with the authority of Christ. They run, both the person and the entity, because they cannot stand before this authority. They see you are not just another human, but an ambassador of the kingdom of heaven, a carrier of holy fire, and against that, their only option is to flee. So, chosen one, wonder no more. They are pulling away because the person they could manipulate is gone. In their place stands a seer, a warrior of light gifted by God with the ability to see beyond the veil. You are the watchman on the wall, the keeper of the gate. You were not chosen to be a victim, but to be a living testament to the truth that sees through all deception. Walk in this power. Own this sight, for you were born to see what others cannot. Every time you choose peace over their drama, every time you trust your discernment over their lies, you are reminding them that their mask has shattered and their true face has been exposed, not just to you, but to heaven. Your vision is your weapon. Your clarity is your shield. And the truth you now carry is the reason why they will always, always be running. If this message is vibrated with truth in your spirit, do not let it stop here. Your engagement is an act of spiritual warfare, like this video to send a beacon of light. Share this message to arm another soldier. And I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me, what mask was the first one God allowed you to see? Your testimony is a weapon. And of course, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Because this isn't just a channel. It is a spiritual arsenal. It is a gathering place for those whose eyes have been opened. Let us continue to grow in power and discernment together. God bless you.